So my name is Jasmin Jeffery, used to be Jasmine Anderson, and I started KOMPAK. There were so many reasons why I started it. At the time, I was feeling like I needed to do something which kind of combined my passions of art and bodybuilding. I remember when I left uni, that's what I wanted, but I didn't really know how I wanted to do that. And the idea kind of came when I was in the same position that all my customers are in. Like, being a competitor, you are so tired, and I don't think people really understand that, how tired you can be, how stressed you can be, and how overwhelming the process can be as well, especially when you are a first timer. So I just remember thinking, I want to make this process easier, because it was way too complicated, like way too complicated, more complicated than what it needed to be. And coming from a digital marketing background, I just saw so many flaws, like from the little things that I mentioned before we chatted. I remember buying shoes and they didn't arrive. And I remember 2 weeks out being so stressed, thinking, where am I going to get shoes from? And not feeling like I could rely on any companies. I remember having to pay so much money on jewelry, for example, because they were from America. So not only was I paying for the jewelry, I was then paying for delivery, I was then paying for customs. And it was just like, this is just ridiculous. It was just crazy to me. And it was through my own personal experiences, I just thought, I feel like I can do something here. I feel like I can really add a different twist and kind of elevate the industry in a really positive way. So yeah, that's kind of why I started it.
Okay, so I haven't actually seen that room properly yet, and I'm really excited. She's just been gym, I'm all proud of her. Right, so here we are. Oh, you've already got some of the stuff up. That's so cool. Didn't know you put some of the bits up. I love that light. It looks so funky, doesn't it?
This makes a lovely pattern.
Oh, here we've got the desk there, and all the storage. It's gonna go here. We're thinking that we might need a bit more space. But yeah, yay. Love it. This camera does not do it justice, like at all, does it? Can't see.
My background and how I got into competing is slightly different, in the sense that I never set out to compete. Ever. I never ever expected myself to be in the position where I am now, that I have a business in this industry and I'm also heavily involved in it, in the sense that I do step on stage. So I got into competing, it was quite a few years of me having issues with my hips and my knees. So when I was maybe about 6 years old, my hips dislocated out their sockets. And when they clicked back in, I remember it was like 3 o'clock in the morning and I was in loads of pain still, but because they clicked back in by themselves, I remember the doctor just laughing at me and kind of being like, well, like, she's fine now, she can walk. And because I grew so quickly, I had loads of issues of tightness around my hips and a lot of pain, a hell of a lot of pain. So growing up, I was told I shouldn't run, I was told I shouldn't be in PE a lot, I was told I shouldn't wear heels, which is very ironic now. So I was very, very self-conscious because I wasn't allowed to be as active as the other kids. I naturally gained a bit more weight in comparison to everyone else. I was bullied quite a lot for that. I was bullied for the way that I walked. I was very, very self-conscious for the way that I actually walked. So the reason why I got into competing was after I kind of got into weightlifting. So my goal initially was to be able to run on the treadmill for 10 minutes without being in pain and just wear like 3-inch kitten heels, which are like hilarious when I look back now. But that was the goal for me, to live a normal life and to not wake up in pain. They were the main goals. And then once I did that, I then came across Amanda Latona. She's kind of like an old school bikini pro, but when I watched her like on stage and her fitness photo shoots, I thought, oh my god, like her confidence both inside and out just like shone. I was like, that's what I want, like that's what I really want. And now I've kind of had this little step of, right, I can now run, I can now do bodyweight squats and all that sort of thing. It was just the next step. Like I was still, at that stage, I was still very, very conscious just to walk from one like part of the gym to the other, because again, I didn't want people to watch the way I was walking. I still couldn't wear heels. I was still very, very self-conscious, and any sort of public speaking or anyone watching me, I'd freak out. I would full on freak out. So when I stepped on stage, and even the last time I actually stepped on stage, I always remember that. I always remember that person that was so scared for people, like wondering what they were going to think. So competing was just a way to push past those insecurities and those things that really did affect me as a child, and kind of in a way just to try and override it. And that's where my inspiration comes from, competing, even still now. I know people have ambitious of going pro, which I think is amazing, but for me, I already, and it sounds so cliche, but I already feel like I've won, because I've come so far from where I was when I was younger. And even when I did one of the Miami Pro, my friends were laughing. They're like, that is not you. You are not sassy at all. And they were just like, it's always within you. And I always say that to people now, like, it is always within you. You've just got to bring it out and have the guts to really know that you can bring it out of yourself. And I think that's why I love competing in this sport so much. And that's why I really try and promote that with the work that I do with KOMPAK, because I really do believe, doesn't matter what situation you've come from when you're a child, or what insecurities you have, like, you can do it. Like, you've just got to put the work in, and you've just got to believe in yourself as well. I think what I always think, whether you're competing or whether you're running a business, if you can do one, you can do the other. So when I was in like the business world and I was doing competing, people would be like, oh, I can never do that competing stuff. I'm like, yeah, but you run a business. You time manage, you persevere, like you do so many qualities of running a business that you do in competing. And then when I speak to competitors, they think, oh, I can never run a business. I'm thinking, are you joking me? Like, you push yourself mentally to places that some people can't do. Like, you persevere, and there's so many traits that, and they merge so well together. And I do think whichever side of the coin you're listening to this, whichever side of the coin you're on, you can do both of them. I think kind of that's what competing gave me, was the confidence to be like, no, you can do this. And it is transferable skills, like going into the business as well. I think like any advice I give to anyone, whether it's competing or whether it's a business, it's just literally just do it. Like, you will figure it out, and you don't need to know everything as well. You will learn stuff along the way. I think probably one of the biggest regrets that I have is when I started competing, I was so on the fence, being like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to do it. And I was kind of like dipping my toes in, not doing it. It's like when you run a really hot bath, but it's too hot and you don't want to put your toe in. That's kind of how I felt with competing. So beginning of the year, my great-granddad passed away suddenly, and then a couple of months later, my friend of mine died in a car crash. A couple of months later, he was kind of like my second dad to me, but he passed away of cancer. And I was just sitting there thinking, like, why am I wasting time here? Like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? I'm not at the place that I need to be, but you can always kind of get there. When I set up the business, it definitely wasn't the right time. There was a lot of stuff going on. So a couple of months before I launched the business, me and my husband were caring for his dad, because he ended up having 2 spinal decompression surgeries. So he was paralysed from the waist down, and we were in the most cramped 2-bed of my life. And there's a photo I've got somewhere of me working on the KOMPAK website on Joe's sister's like play desk. It was for a 6-year-old, right? And I'm 5'10", so I was having to sit on like this little table and this little chair, trying to set up the business. And I remember my mum saying to me, like, you know, you can just postpone it. Like, why don't you just, you know, focus on what you need to? But I just thought, if I've learned anything with my personal life and competing and just everything in general, there is never a right time to do anything. You have just got to do it, because if you don't do it, you will kick yourself and you never know where it's going to take you. Like, I would never have imagined me wanting to live a normal life and be able to walk in heels and not be in pain, but then lead me on to a business where all my day is understanding heels to like the nth degree and advising people on heels. I would never have thought I would be that person. But if you don't take that first step, then honestly, like, you're never gonna know. Like, you're never gonna know. And I just think that's not the way that you should be living your life, 100% not. So yeah, hopefully that can take a few like bits from people. But I just hope this, I think the reason why I wanted to do this video was I spent a lot of last year as well kind of doubting myself again. And I had to bring it back down to why I started this, why I started KOMPAK, why I started competing, and why I started weightlifting. And once I got back down to that core again, everything became a lot clearer and I felt more confident to kind of give everything back, if that makes sense. So yeah, just go for it. You literally just never know. You literally just never know, so.
The BBC Best New Business.
Looks like you like a mortgage.
KOMPAK.